Yo guys, how's it going? I am back with another video once again without a beard and with the blanket. And the blanket is a blanket and not a robe because this balcony is absolutely freezing. It's not because I've developed some sort of messiah complex. But what am I talking about in this video today? I'm talking about the 5 things that I did that allowed me to basically stop being a girlfriend with a penis and allowed me to actually step into my masculinity and feel like a healthy, grounded, emotionally resilient man. But first, I want to talk about where I was just 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I was in a relationship and I felt very much like a girlfriend with a penis. I felt like the woman in the relationship. Now, I'm not saying that in relationships you can't have fluid dynamics where the woman takes on more masculine traits and the guy takes on more feminine traits. That's fine, do what you want. But in my relationship, it didn't feel good. And I was at a festival and I remember her saying to me, I feel like the man in this relationship. And that really sucked. At that point, I was just too nice. I wasn't very assertive. I would very rarely put anyone in the place. I wouldn't speak my desires out into the world. And I lacked any sort of drive and solid direction. And because of this, my relationships suffered. I suffered sexually because I was so anxious to please her, because I thought that if I didn't have any value, if I didn't please a woman, or if I didn't please women in general, I thought that I didn't have any value. So this made sex really difficult because I would basically shoot my bolt too quickly because I was just super anxious, which is something that happens. If you struggle with sexual function, like you can't get an erection or you can't last very long, it's usually because you're super anxious. And this was totally the case for me. Not only that, but my needs, my desires and my ambitions were buried, because going after valued goals and extending yourself into the world, very much like an erect penis, is a masculine trait. It's like an energetically masculine thing to do. Because I'd repressed this side of me, I had very little potency. The same energy within a man that causes him to be sexually potent is also the same energy that causes him to be creative and also put himself out there into the world. And I'd repressed this side of me. So I didn't really know what I wanted. I didn't really know where I was going, and I didn't really have any direction for my life. I was making YouTube videos and I was sort of doing this lukewarm personal training career, but I was very much directionless. My bank account was pretty much empty. I was watching porn all the time. I had a compulsive masturbation habit. I was jerking it way too often. I was checking my phone around 300 times a day. I was addicted to validation, addicted to the dopamine hits that I'd get from Facebook and Instagram and everything else. I was distracting myself with drinking too much, smoking too much weed, taking too many drugs. This was pretty much where I was at. Although if you look at some of my videos, you wouldn't think that, would you? The catalyst for this change was when the relationship ended. When it ended, I was all over the map, really. I had to take a solid look at myself and ask myself what actually went wrong there. Because she wanted a man. She wanted a partner. Like any woman does in a relationship. She wants a partner. She wants someone who on equal footing, someone who she can depend upon, some grounded, present man who she can turn to when she comes emotionally undone. And that's what I would say that most women seek in a relationship. The 5 things that I did that allowed me to overcome this problem and feel like an actually masculine man over the course of the past 2 years are as follows. Number 1, I removed sources of validation. So I took the social media, I got off of Facebook and Instagram. I'm gonna leave a little card up in one of these corners. Go and check out that video. I removed that from the equation only about 4 or 5 months ago, and that completely changed things. I was no longer grasping for dopamine hits. I was no longer externally driven by sources of validation and approval from other people. And I started to become more driven by a sense of inner worth. And I think this is important for any man to experience. Number 2, find a tribe of people, preferably a tribe of men who you can be emotionally vulnerable with. Find the others. Find other people. Find your safe people that you can be yourself with. You can reveal the vulnerable sides to you that you otherwise expend a lot of energy repressing or hiding. One of the best things ever is I have a tribe of men, an emotional support group I go to, where if I'm playing it small, if I'm shortchanging myself, if I'm not acting in the service of my true potential, they call me out on that bullshit. And if I am trading my values for the approval of women, if I'm not going to the gym in the morning because I've got a woman over and stuff, they crack the whip and they don't let me get away with that shit. And that's what a good brotherhood will do for you. The third thing is I diversified my sources of self-worth. So if self-worth, if the only source of self-worth you have comes from a woman, then you are her prisoner. Not just her prisoner, but the prisoner of all women. And deep down, subconsciously, women do not want that. They do not want a guy whose only source of worth and validation is her. At least emotionally healthy women. They don't want that. So when I diversified my sources of self-worth by doing certain things that I've always told myself I could never do, like make instrumental hip-hop music, SoundCloud link in the comments, and start writing a lot more, and just generally putting myself out there in the world and having hard conversations and being honest, when I started doing that stuff and started to find sources of self-worth that weren't so wrapped up in whether a woman said, yes, Ollie's good, or no, Ollie's bad, then I noticed that I just felt a lot more a lot more masculine, a lot more grounded, a lot more emotionally resilient. The fourth thing is I overcame the nice guy problem, because nice guys tend to just be dishonest. They're super nice, validation seeking. Hey everyone, how's it going? I'll agree with anything you say. Hey, where do you want to go to eat tonight? I'm okay, I'll do whatever you want. It's dishonest. That nice guy stuff is dishonest, which is why it's a turn off for a lot of women, because a man is untrustworthy, because it's like, this guy is not being real. Who is this person? He's too nice. Nobody's that nice. So I overcame the nice guy problem by practicing radical honesty. More specifically, in my intimate relationships. If I got intimate with a girl, I'd just tell her if I was seeing other women. I would tell her what I thought, what I was feeling, etc. And this didn't work 100% of the time, because sometimes I just don't know the truth in that moment of what's going on within me. But to the greatest extent that I was capable, I would practice radical honesty. And when I do this, it means that the truth of who I am need not be hidden from anyone. And that feels powerful. And the fifth thing I did, which is what I recommend any man does, is approaches. Now, I started to approach women in the street who I found attractive and started talking to them. I just go over, I say, hey, I think you're cute, I want to come and meet you, or hey, I think you're interested, or hey, I like your bag or your top or whatever. I'd go over and just say hello, strike up a conversation. Because there's something deeply masculine about that. Remember, masculine, if we take the physical embodiment of masculinity as being the penis, it extends from the body. It extends out into the world, it penetrates. So the same sort of deal is masculine energy. Now, if you go over to a woman and that's you putting yourself out there into the world. That's showing a really powerful trait and characteristic. But I want to clarify something. It's not about her reaction. It's not about you approaching her, so in her eyes, you seem like this. I'm not interested in that. I'm more interested in the inner shift that happens when you start doing this. You start approaching women, you start telling yourself subconsciously that my sexuality, me approaching a woman with either sexual intent or with the desire to take her on a date or whatever, is okay. Because I'm a man, I'm a sexually charged man, and that's fine. There's something deeply okay with that. And nice guys, people who've repressed their masculinity, they repress their sexuality, they repress their assertiveness and their creativity. And when you start approaching more and more women, you put yourself into fear, you lean into fear, you lean into the emotional tension. And you keep telling yourself every time you do this that you are a man who is capable of doing that, who in the face of fear, in the face of overwhelming social pressure or the desire to not make a social situation or a scene awkward or whatever, you are going to go ahead and speak to that woman anyway because you want to. That is deeply masculine. That's powerful stuff. So over the past couple of years, I have integrated all of these practices into my life, and now I can safely say that rather than feeling like a girlfriend with a penis, I feel now like a man. That being said, I also recognise I have feminine and masculine energies within me, as does any human being, but the balance is more sort of 60% masculine, 40% feminine, and that's just the way Ollie likes it. Guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.